Oh, you hanging out right? Oh, you hanging out right? Hanging out right? Oh, you hanging out right?
Welcome to Ask Rhythm Intensive. I'm John Martinez. Of course,
And I'm Chuck Rainey.
Chuck Rainey. I'm wearing my official Chuck Rainey shirt, which you can still order if you hurry up at chuckrainey.com. Namaste. We got a question from Madison in Little Rock, Arkansas. She wants to know, Chuck, I want to learn how to play the bass. What bass should I buy first? Should I buy a student model bass, or should I go ahead and just invest and get a real nice professional model?
Madison, get you a student bass, a very inexpensive bass. You can get to work in a Kia like you can in a Lexus. You have to learn the fundamentals of the instrument. So there's no sense in buying an expensive instrument, because your taste will change after you start on something that's very simple. A very inexpensive bass will sound just as good as a expensive bass. So start slow, because you may change your mind. Once you start playing the bass, you might want to be a guitar player. I know that you don't give a 4-year-old violin player or a 5-year-old violin player a Stradivarius. You get them an inexpensive one. So they have to learn what the instrument does, what its role is. If you, once you start playing the bass, maybe you might want to be a drummer. A lot of bass players do want to be drummers. I know I would be a drummer if I weren't a bass player. What do you think about drums? How should a person begin with drum sets?
Usually, for the drummers, I recommend that they at least take at least a year of piano lessons. I look at piano as a percussion instrument, and it's good to have that foundation and theory so that you can have an intelligent conversation with other musicians, number one. I know in school sometimes they require you to learn some keyboarding for marimba or glockenspiel or something. So it's just important to me to get that foundation either in some kind of keyboard instrument, either piano or, like I said, marimba, glockenspiel, something. Just so that you can understand theory, not just rhythm, but melody and harmony. So that's helpful. And then in starting out for drums, I don't recommend going out and buying a full-blown kit, especially if you're just starting. I recommend a pair of good sticks, a practice pad, and a metronome. And maybe a book like Syncopation by Ted Reed. Because the way I was taught, if you can't make one surface sound good, you're not going to be able to make 4 or 5 surfaces sound very good. So learn to gain control and develop your technique on one surface, and a practice pad is a great way to do it. And they've made lots of advances in practice pads. It doesn't just feel like rubber.
Boy, do I agree with you, because I did that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was a pretty good rhythm player at one time. And on being on the road with opening for Tower Power, Dave Garibaldi, all he did was play on a practice pad. The years I've been around Steve Gadd, practice pad.
Yeah.
Because you have to get those things going. So that is certainly very, very true. Very, very true. What about the musician who only has can only play one instrument? Which there are a lot of people that can't play piano, they don't play guitar, they just are a drummer or like a bass player. If you can't find a piano, or I agree with him. The piano is the orchestra. Once you see how things are situated on the piano, and it really is easy once you spend time to it. And the piano is percussive, so you get an idea of what rhythm is. So I do agree with you there.
For me, it was different. I started out on drums, but I did start taking piano at a very young age, and then I played trumpet for a long time. So I found that once I learned, especially the piano, and I started understanding theory, that sort of unlocked all the other instruments, because you start to see fretboard logic. First the keyboard logic, and how, oh, I can see, the major scale, and I see the relationship between tones and semitones, or steps, whole steps and half steps. you start to see all that, and then you start to see it on the fretboard, and so it becomes easier to transfer all that information to the instruments. Same thing with the wind instruments. Once I learned trumpet, then I kind of by proxy understood the baritone horn or a valve trombone. You know, if you learn a woodwind instrument, you're going to kind of figure out, oh, I can play tenor, alto, soprano, baritone. Once you've learned the system, it easily transfers. But I think the most important thing is pick an instrument and commit to at least, you know, more than a year, 5-10 years, because the first couple of years you're really just kind of learning, like you said, the rudiments. You're just kind of learning the first principles. But you got to really, you know, it takes time to start to master it, and it takes time to really fall in love with it.
It also takes time to know the role
Yeah,
of the instrument.
absolutely. Yeah, but I had a question about the beginner bass. But isn't it hard if you get a beginner bass? Like, aren't they harder to play?
No, not unless, I mean, if it's cheap, some instruments are not made well. But I don't mind saying this, but the new Marcus Miller bass is inexpensive. It's a very good bass. It doesn't cost thousands of dollars. It's a good instrument. And you have a lot of cheap instruments that are made well. You know, I remember, I'm trying to figure what TV show it was, where the bass player played a Sears and Roebuck electric bass. That sounded good. He was mainly an upright player, but a cheap $99 Sears and Roebuck electric bass, and it sounded good on TV.
Wow.
You know, so the money, like I mentioned before, a Kia, which I say because it's an inexpensive car, as opposed to a Lexus or to a Mercedes-Benz. Both of them will get you to where you got to go just as quick. Maybe not in style, but style is not important. Learning the instrument. Same with left-handed players. You know, you can go ahead and buy spend money, thousands of dollars for a left-handed instrument. But the trend is you just turn the fourth string and turn it upside down.
Right.
And you have there what you need to understand the instrument.
Right.
So cheap or inexpensive is the way to go, as opposed to looking for something expensive. The more expensive bass may look good if you're looking at the bass. But most people are listening rather than looking.
Right.
Now some people are looking, you know, but the listening thing is what gets you hired and what gets you respected if you can play. A lot of people play expensive instruments, but they're not good players.
Wow. Well, Addison, I hope that answered your question. Thanks for joining us here at AskRhythmIntensive.com. We'll catch you next time.
Oh, you hanging out right?